Hello everybody, my name is Lena. Welcome to part 2 of this stupidly long wrap-up. So, as I've told you in my previous video, I had so many things to talk about this month that I split it into. So, we are now in the sci-fi, mystery, kind of historical fiction wrap-up. So, let's go. The first book that I actually want to talk about, I read it in February. This is the Polish Mattress by Jack Finney, and this was just such a surprise. I knew that I was going to enjoy this because I really like books about kind of this slow invasion of this small town in this lost state of the US. This is a really classic sci-fi. It was written in 1953 or 55, somewhere along those lines, and it could definitely be a book about today's world, even though they don't have phones, and that was kind of a solution to everything. This was so good. I enjoyed this little classic. They have always such a good premise, and it's just executed in a super subtle way, and I don't know, I just love them. They are super quick to read. I gave the Body Snatchers, I gave the Body Snatchers 4 out of 5 stars. We follow Dr. Miles, and one day he receives this call from his cousin, and she just basically tells him that their Uncle Ira is not her Uncle Ira. Meaning that he looks the same, he acts the same, but there's something missing in there. So this thing starts to spread all around the town, and everyone starts to going kind of cuckoo and being paranoid. So yeah, I don't want to tell you much because this is super short. So yeah, this was fantastic. Then I read the worst book that I have read this year. I Hate You. This is a philosophical investigation by Philip Kerr, and man, I should do a rant review about this. I had to read this one for one of my classes, and it wasn't good. I gave this one 2 out of 5 stars. It had good elements on it, but they were portrayed awfully. I'm sorry, but I'm not a huge fan about men writing women in this kind of weird feminist way, because his way of being feminist is just like, oh, my main protagonist is so cool that she hates men. And it doesn't matter that she is a detective, because she doesn't care if the men are getting killed, because she is a feminist. That went all about the book, and I was just like, yeah, I get that Jake hates men. I get it. Please don't tell me again, because I understand. I understand that from page 1. You don't need to tell me through all these 300 pages. But yeah, and the ending was fucking stupid in my mind. Kind of the serial killer and our investigator formed this kind of bond that makes no fucking sense. Because, you know, there are some mystery thrillers that the relationship between the murderer and the police makes sense, you know. They are kind of connected in this weird way. But in here, it made no fucking sense. And I just hate it for it. Before I forget, I actually read one arc this month. This was What Lies Between Us by John Marsh, and this book was absolutely great. Let me tell you what the book is about first. We follow 2 women, and one of them basically has the other one in prison in the attic, and we don't know why, we don't know what happened between them, but we start the book by being this kind of normal, like, yeah, hi Nina, let's go have dinner. But then she just puts like this chain around this other woman and just leaves her there. In this book, you're just continually having plot twists that actually kind of make sense. It's not just like, oh, yeah, this weird thing happened. Guess you didn't guess that, right? No, these are actually really convoluted plot twists, and for the first time, we don't have a main protagonist being a woman that she's basically an alcoholic and that's why she's an unreliable narrator. No, we don't have this in here, and it's just such a refreshed thing to have in a book, in a thriller book. It's a very kind of contained mystery thriller because it kind of revolves around the house. It was so good. It kind of changes between the past and the present, and I found both timelines super interesting. I mean, if you enjoy any previous John Mars book, you should read it. There's actually another one by him on this wrap up, but I love this one so much better than the first one that I read by him. And this month I was just kind of in a weird kick of mystery thrillers, but this book kind of ruined it for me. This is 8 Perfect Murders by Peter Swanson, and this book just went downhill from the beginning. It starts up really good. It has like a super interesting premise, and the first, 50 pages or so are really gripping and interesting, but with time progression, it just fails. I can't really pinpoint what thing didn't work for me. It's just that the book itself, I think that it's not well constructed, and that ending was just like meh. The whole book towards the end was just like a complete meh. So I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Because it's okay. That's it. We follow this bookseller, and he's visited by this FBI woman saying that, hey, do you remember that list that you made about 8 perfect murders years ago? Well, someone is actually recreating them. The premise is actually fantastic because at the beginning you don't know if he's actually the one recreating the murders, if he's a suspect, if he's not, if he's maybe just a consultant. And that was pretty good, but the book loses its way along the middle part and it just makes no sense. I also read Altered Carbon by Richard Morgan, and titties. Ladies and gentlemen, titties. That is what all this book is about for a bit. Towards the end, the titties kind of relax for a bit. At the beginning, the only thing that our main character is thinking, Takeshi Kovacs, is just like, whoa, these woman tits are amazing. Whoa, I'm just going to think with my penis the whole book. Well, yeah, he does that for a while. Taking that out of the way, I really find the story interesting. I have already seen the TV show just like 2 years ago when it first came out, and I love the TV show, so I decided to take a chance with the series. And I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say that the show is just completely faithful to the book, but I will say that it's a pretty fair adaptation. Not the second season, the first one, don't get me wrong. The second season has been awful. I found that the investigation was better done in the series than in the first one. In this one, for a while, we kind of lost track of what he's investigating, unlike the TV show, which everything surrounds the Bancrofts all the time, but not in here. And I kind of liked it and kind of not. Kind of liked it because it was something new that I didn't know, but at the same time, was just like, dude, this is kind of a sci-fi noir thriller, so get the investigation going, you know? Overall, I enjoyed it. I hope that in the second book we don't have as much titties as in the first one. Please. So, in this book, we have this futuristic setting where you can basically store people's personality and conscience in this kind of weird cell in the back of your neck. If you, for some reason, die, you can basically be put in another sleeve, or in another body. And that's what all of this is about. We follow Takeshi Kovacs as he is basically re-sleeved in this new body in exchange of investigating the suicide of this super rich guy called Bancroft. The thing is, the only person that thinks Bancroft didn't commit suicide is actually Bancroft, because he's been re-sleeved also. The main plotline is actually really good. We have here The Passengers by John Mars. I have to say that I wasn't a really huge fan of this book. I think that the first 2/3 of this book are really, really good and really gripping, but the final act didn't make it for me, because the premise of this book is that we have 8 different intelligent cars being hacked. We have this kind of reality show where the hacker is going to let people choose who lives and who dies, and obviously we are going to discover really weird and dark secrets about the passengers. And that was fascinating, because I love to see in other books or movies or video games how people react and how people judge other people based on their assumptions. And that's why I love that part, and I love The Circle, for example, the film on Netflix, not the TV show, and 12 Angry Men also. So I was just really hoping that the ending was going to be good, but that part what I was telling you about the passengers kind of ends here, and I was just like, why do we need this? What's going to happen there? And there's this part where we have plot twist after plot twist after plot twist that for me were necessary. The story felt good at a certain point, and perhaps it could have been left there. I wasn't a huge fan of the ending, but the entirety of the book was pretty solid. So you maybe want to try this. I give this one actually 3.5 out of 5 stars. So now we have here The Three Body Problems by Cixin Liu. This is actually part of my 5-star prediction challenge, and I wasn't really far off, but what the fuck is this book? I don't know, and I have read it. I was just so confused for most of the book. It's like, wow, physics, dude. Amazing. I think this is actually not a masterpiece of sci-fi, but a fantastic example of hard sci-fi, really based on science. And I understand that maybe this is not for everyone. You are going to have really heavy and difficult physics thing thrown at your face all the time. Overall, I enjoyed it, but yeah, I took 0.5 out of the qualification of this book out because I was just so lost. And the beginning was kind of confusing. I think that towards the end, the book became clearer, and that is not usually the thing. They tend to be more easy to follow at the beginning and then really hard at the end, but this was just completely the opposite. So thank God. I give this one 4.5 out of 5 stars. I will continue with the series, although I've heard that the second one is not as good as this one, so that makes me kind of hesitate, but I'm going to continue. I understand why so many people think that this is a necessary read for sci-fi readers, and I completely get that. How the fuck can I explain this book to you? I don't know, but we have this kind of mystery surrounding a really weird thing that is happening on Earth. Basically, some scientists are discovering that laws of physics don't work anymore, and they are kind of killing themselves. Yeah. At the same time, we have this game that is called The Three Body Problem, where you work in this simulation about this weird planet, and you have to figure it out because they have these stable eras, these chaotic eras, and these two elements combined, I thought that they were magnificent. Although I enjoyed the parts about the video game so badly. Then I have here Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. I thought that I had abandoned Red Rising after not really connecting with the first one. I gave Red Rising 3 out of 5 stars, I think. I wasn't really sold on the whole kind of Hunger Games things that happened there, but I still find the world super interesting. So I read a couple of reviews not that long ago that said that this book was more about the cool world that the Red Rising had. So I was like, you know what? Let's just pick up Golden Sun. And I'm really glad that I did, because this book for me was such a step up from the first one. The world kind of expanded, and Daryl became a more in-depth character. He wasn't just like, oh, I'm going to do this for Io. Yeah, Io. Yeah, I'm doing this for Io. No, he kind of became his own character, finally. And fuck, that ending, I wouldn't consider it just a cliffhanger. So many people were just like, oh, after the cliffhanger on the second one, you can't wait to read the third one. No, it was just like more of a plot twist when you are just like, fuck, did that just happen? And indeed, it happened. And yeah, I'm really interested in continuing with the series, and I probably will. In the first one, we follow these Martian miners trying to get all of these resources to build a colony on Mars. Yeah. One day, everything kind of goes to hell when Daryl is killed along with his wife, and he discovers that actually the terraforming project has been going on for years and all the planets are basically colonized. He just turns himself into this kind of super human called the Gold and decides to go undercover under the tutelage of the Sons of Ares. And yeah, this world is Roman inspired, and that is one of the coolest things that it has. More sci-fi beliefs. I have here Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. This is book 2 in the Skyward series, and I think that this book kind of evolved from the first one and not at the same time, because even though we have tons of aliens and tons of new things in this book, we also have the training again. And I have already seen Spencer train on the ship. I don't need to see it a second time, and that kind of felt the same, and I wasn't really happy with it. But at the same time, the new alien politics and new mystery surrounding these aliens was just really good. I really enjoyed the ending, and the only thing that I missed was the people from the first one. They barely appear on here. We kind of only have Spencer and Doomslag and obviously our ship. I wasn't really completely sold on this. I will continue with the series. I mean, it's a Brandon Sanderson series, so come on, the ending is going to be fantastic. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. So in Skyward, the first book of the series, we follow Spencer. Her dream is basically to become a pilot and try to clean up the name of her father, because he was branded traitor when he tried to flee combat. The first one is actually really good. We're getting to the end. This is The Hand on the Wall by Maureen Johnson. This is the third and final book in the Truly Devious trilogy, and I have to say that this trilogy is super cute and super easy to read and super fantastic. I still have to say that the first one is probably still my favorite one, when all the mystery was there and Stevie was a super cool main character and the other guy wasn't there as much. Yeah, I really enjoy seeing how the whole mystery unveiled, and the ending was kind of, I won't say predictable, but I wasn't completely sold on the all who did it kind of thing. But I enjoy Scifi so much. She's such a good main character. I just really enjoy this series, and I will highly recommend it to anyone who loves kind of really easy mysteries. And yeah, I'm really happy that I actually finished this series, because it's been a while since I finished the series, actually. Yeah, I gave The Hand on the Wall 4 out of 5 stars. So in the first one of the series, we follow Stevie. She's basically obsessed with true crime, and especially with this super horrid crime that happened in this academy almost 100 years ago. So when she has the opportunity to actually assist this academy in becoming a student, everything's going to change for her, because she's going to be able to actually investigate the murder and the ones that are happening now. So yeah, it's really good. The next book that I have here is Patria by Fernando Aramburu, and I had to read this for one of my classes, and man, this was boring. I'm so sorry. I don't enjoy historical fiction set in Spain. I'm not a fan. But this was basically kind of a homage to the victims of ETA. That was a terrorist group that acted here in Spain for a good amount of time. I understand what the book's trying to say me, but you know, I already know that terrorism is bad. So I don't really need a book to tell me that. And yeah, I know that most of their supporters were human people like all of us, completely normal people, but you know, I already know that too, so I don't need much from this book. That was kind of a bit of a disappointment, and I really hate the way it was told. It just keeps jumping around times and people without even saying it. It's just like, yeah, we're following Arantxa right now, but in the next sentences we are actually 20 years ago and we are following Gorka, and you're just like, what the fuck? I give this one 3 out of 5 stars. The message is good, but for me, it's kind of obvious. Finally, I've been recording for like 2 hours. This is finally over. I really hope that you enjoyed seeing all the books that I've read this past 2 months. I think that they were just like 30 books or something like that. Please, if you liked this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, because it helps out a ton. You can't imagine how much. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.